More jails out west refusing to hold inmates for federal immigration officials. The midterm election pundits still show Republicans gaining the ground they need, and a great example of dirty politics. All this and more as we go inside the Beltway and welcome the managing editor of the Washington Free Beacon, Aaron MacLean, joins us. Aaron, good to see you again.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Here we go, right from the words of the Washington Free Beacon, the printed words, of course. U.S. Senate candidate Allison Lundergren Grimes lying about her support for the state's coal industry, according to Kentucky Democrats. Tell us a little bit more about the story and how they are trying to back up and, I think, cover themselves on this one today.
Well, the Washington Free Beacon this morning revealed first the latest work from James O'Keefe. Some of James's folks managed to get a bunch of staffers who work for the Grimes campaign on tape saying that her support for coal is basically a sham, that she really doesn't support coal, and that just like everybody actually knows and believes, that this is an election year effort on her part to make herself seem less aligned with the Obama administration's message on these issues, especially the environment.
Interesting, too, at a recent campaign event with former President Bill Clinton, she said, quote, "Let me set it straight for you, Mitch McConnell. I am the pro-coal candidate in this race." Other than the fact that there is another politician who is lying, which certainly no one should really be that surprised about, happens at least 747 times a day. What is the significance of this as we are heading towards the midterms, heading towards the elections, specifically in that state?
Well, Kentucky is a state that Republicans really need to retain if they're going to have a serious shot at taking control of the Senate. It's much closer there than you would typically expect a race involving the Senate Minority Leader, in this case Mitch McConnell, to be. Allison Grimes does not have an insubstantial chance of winning, so it's very significant in that narrow respect. It's also significant because this particular issue, I think, reveals broader trends that are at work in these midterms. Candidates, Democratic candidates, that is to say, across the country, whether it's Congress, whether it's the Senate, whether it's gubernatorial races, are running as fast as they can from the president's agenda, and sometimes in quite implausible ways. And they're stuck in a tough spot, right? To get the PAC money, to get the big Democratic donors involved, you have to be pretty liberal, right? The money's with environmental causes, the money is with gay rights and things like that. But of course, to appeal to voters in more conservative-leaning states, red or reddish states like Kentucky, you have to be somewhat conservative. And that leads to these absurd moments, like, for example, the Grimes campaign video that had her, I think it opened with her firing a gun, turning around and saying that she disagrees with President Obama, and, oh, by the way, Mitch, this is how you hold a gun. I mean, just silly stuff, right? That if you were an alien come from outer space and you saw that ad, you would say to yourself, that woman seems kind of insincere. And that's really what this morning's video revealed, was that actually she appears to be kind of insincere.
Wouldn't this, though, almost pretty much put her on a spaceship, perhaps, and send her somewhere into deep space when it comes down to the race against Mitch McConnell when she's caught lying this hard, this close to the midterms, and certainly in Kentucky, where coal is a backbone of their economy?
Well, you know, it's certainly a possibility. The next few days, few weeks will tell as the poll numbers from Kentucky come in. Now, of course, it's important to clarify, Grimes herself is not on tape saying this. These are staffers that these folks got on tape saying what basically everybody knows, that she's not particularly sincere on this issue. But yeah, I mean, it absolutely could have a big impact on this race in Kentucky, which again is important to the bigger picture in the senatorial map. Kentucky really is a must retain for Republicans. They're looking to pick up states, not lose states. And if McConnell were to lose, that would be a big hit on Republican chances for a majority.
I got about 30 seconds left. What's the Free Beacon hearing as far as the latest when we come down to the midterms? Still look good for the Republicans?
It looks good. The numbers are positive, but they're not overwhelmingly positive. It's not time to celebrate. It's not time to be overly optimistic if you're a Republican. There are some very tight races like Iowa, for example, that are must pickups for the Republicans, and right now the numbers are extremely tight there. Another one to watch is Arkansas, where you have Tom Cotton in a tight race that's a must win for Republicans.
Excellent job uncovering this by the Washington Free Beacon. It is always a pleasure. Aaron, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, my pleasure. I want to remind everybody, too, that come election night, don't worry about it. You'll keep it right here on the Newsmax TV network, because we will have it covered for you around the country and make sure that we bring you what happens in those races. Bring you the numbers as soon as they happen as well. All right, take a break, come back on the other side. On point and a little bit more as we close things out right here in this edition of MidPoint.